Hello and welcome to Cognito Key. You know that feeling when you're looking at advertising and it just feels like you're throwing money at a wall and just hoping some of it sticks? Yeah, it's a very common feeling. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be a gamble? What if you had a blueprint? Well, today we are going to unpack the classic 5Ms framework. Think of it as your roadmap to building campaigns that actually deliver.
So our roadmap today is built on 5 super important pillars, and they all start with the letter M. First, we've got mission. That's all about your goal. Then money, your budget, of course. After that comes the message. What's your story? Then media. Where are you going to tell that story? And finally, measurement. How on earth do you know if any of it worked? All right, let's get into it.
Okay, first up, mission. This is the absolute foundation. Before you spend even a single rupee, you have to answer the most critical question of all. Why are we even doing this? And your answer to that question becomes the blueprint for every single decision you make from here on out.
To put it really simply, you have to decide what winning looks like before you even start the game. Are you trying to launch a brand new product? Maybe you're trying to break into a new market. Or is your goal to boost sales by, say, 20%? This mission is your North Star. It's what keeps the entire campaign pointed in exactly the right direction. Generally speaking, your mission is going to fall into one of these 3 buckets. Is your main goal to inform people about something new? Or is it to persuade them to switch over from your competitor? Or maybe it's just to remind your loyal customers that, hey, you're still here and you're still their best option. Your whole strategy is going to change depending on which one of these you pick.
So, with our blueprint sorted, it's time for the second M, money. Your budget is literally the fuel for this engine. It's what decides how big and how ambitious you can be. Because let's be honest, without the funding, even the most brilliant idea is just going to stay a drawing on a piece of paper.
Think of this as your total construction cost for this whole project. And it's not just one number. It has to cover everything. The ad space itself, actually making the ad, any agency fees, market research, the whole thing. And most importantly, the budget has to be realistic enough to actually pull off the mission that you've set for yourself.
Now, this breakdown shows something really important about advertising. Notice how about half, a full 50% of the budget goes to media buys. That's basically the rent you're paying for space, whether it's on TV or social media or a billboard. The other half is for designing and building the ad. This is exactly why choosing the right media is so important. It's where most of your money goes.
All right, now for the third M, and this is the creative heart of it all, your message. So if the mission is the blueprint and money is the budget, then the message, well, that's the architecture and the interior design. It's the story, the feeling, the big idea that's actually going to connect with people.
And here is the golden rule for this part. It's not about you, it's about the customer. A great message isn't just a list of your product's features. No, it's about tapping into what your customer hopes for, what they're afraid of, what they desire. That's where the magic happens.
So one really common way to do this is with an emotional appeal. Think about those ads that use themes like family or celebration or even nostalgia to give you a warm, fuzzy feeling. They aren't just selling you something. They're selling you joy or that feeling of belonging.
And then on the total opposite side, you have the fear appeal. This is when an ad highlights a risk, like maybe home security or a health problem, and then it presents the product as a solution that brings you safety and peace of mind. It can be a very powerful way to get people to act.
Then, of course, there's the health appeal. You see this everywhere, right? Especially in food and fitness. These messages are all about well-being, feeling energetic, and making smart choices for a better life.
And you can't forget the classic economy appeal. This one speaks right to our desire to get a good deal. It's all about value, discounts, and saving money. It's simple, it's direct, and it is always very, very effective.
Okay, so once you have this really compelling message all crafted, you have to decide on the media. This is all about picking the right location, the right platform to get that message in front of your target audience.
And this is where your strategy really becomes a balancing act. You're always weighing reach, that is, how many people are going to see your ad, against the cost. A big primetime TV ad, huge reach, but wow, a massive price tag. A targeted social media ad, on the other hand, might reach the perfect people, but way fewer of them, and for a tiny fraction of the cost. There's no one right answer here.
And the options are just huge. From traditional things like newspapers and billboards to all the digital and broadcast media we have today. The really key thing to remember is that the medium is part of the message. An ad in a fancy magazine just feels different than a pop-up ad online, right? Your choice has to depend on your mission,
your budget, and most importantly, where your audience is actually spending their time.
And that brings us to our fifth and final M, measurement. This is the final inspection. After all the planning and the spending and the creating, you have to ask a very simple question. Did it actually work?
Now, you absolutely cannot skip this step. I'm serious. This is so critical because it's what closes the loop. If you don't measure, you're just guessing. And this isn't about getting a pass or a fail grade. It's about learning, gathering intelligence so your next campaign can be smarter and sharper and way more efficient.
So measurement can happen at two key points. You've got pre-testing, which is kind of like a dress rehearsal. You test out your ideas on a small audience before you go and spend the big money. And then there's post-testing. This happens after the campaign is done to measure its real-world impact, through things like sales numbers or asking people if they remember seeing your ad.
So, you see how the 5 M's just create this seamless, logical flow? Your mission sets the goal. The money makes it possible. That money helps you create a compelling message, which you deliver through the right media. And finally, measurement tells you if you actually hit your goal. Each step just builds on the one before it, making it a really powerful, cohesive way to think about your strategy.
This whole framework really helps turn what feels like a gamble into a much more calculated success. But every step has its own challenges, right? So, I'll leave you with a question. In today's really crowded market, which of these M's do you think is the toughest one to get right? Is it defining the mission, crafting the message, or maybe trying to accurately measure the results? I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us on Cognito Key. If this framework helped you think a little more clearly about advertising, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more explainers where we break down complex business ideas into simple, powerful tools. We'll see you in the next one.